to understand how triggers work individually within you and if they are audio, visual, or tactile. Find a safe space that is not going to trigger you and figure out why that space doesn't trigger. I just did a quick Google search for special education organizations and found a Wikipedia page that had about 40, and I chose one randomly. So this one has some very idealistic goals, and I'm not sure exactly how, and I do not know what their progress is, but what I did come across on their website, but one thing that I saw that was on their website is the reason why this group, even though I did work with students with cognitive disability and have worked with adults that may be considered lower functioning, and there's no negative memories of that. In fact, there's nothing. And I think it's because they say the words and then they put the policy in motion. The thing I'm looking for that can ultimately end trauma, that's individualized to me, because I believe that education is a way to positively affect criminology and victimology. Meaning, education can be the thing that prevents future crimes or self-hating behaviors that result in dependence on either social services or another person who might be abusive, or, Lordy Lord, just misery every single day because of stigmatization and feeling different, which is the conversation, again, my ex-husband had about his family, warning me in year 1, Lordy Lord, about each and every one of them, and how he was abused, and how in year 6, that story did a flip. And it's like, dude, you can't keep doing this, okay? So that's one strategy. There's about 165, okay? Let's get started. It's gonna take a while. And that's why the skill set that I'm rejecting is patience, because I was very patient with parents, administration, and specialists to do the right thing. But I will always have forever patience from my students, because it is true, third quarter, they start to recognize, oh my God, the things I choose to do and my work ethic does matter, because guess what they got to do? They got to read with increased fluency and ability to understand the text in order to answer the questions better and be part of the class, because these teachers didn't know how to assess kids with special needs. And that's what the parent conference meetings were about. Parents are upset when their kids got D's, and the teacher was like, well, what am I supposed to do? That's what the work they have. And I would say, well, that's the whole point. What intervention strategies are you using? Because you can't just give them an A willy-nilly. Get it?
To build a more inclusive and more resilient middle class, and I think that can withstand the next public crisis, whatever it is, however it comes about. Not just reward the people who are well off and well connected. It's time for us to make sure everyone gets a fair shot of success in this country. We know that virus can hit anyone, anywhere, but it doesn't affect every community the same. It hits the most vulnerable, the least resourced, and the hardest to address the disproportionate impact the virus is having on communities of color. What have we learned? I found it both stunning and heartbreaking. Black populations have the coronavirus infections at 3 times rate higher than majority white count. Death rates are nearly 6 times as high. But I really applaud your leadership in this issue, because I can tell you focusing on, a little bit about the work your task force is doing, what you found, both the scope of the challenge and the potential ways to address it, because it's not just in Michigan.
We've banned evictions and closures so people can stay in their homes. We've expanded unemployment benefits to help working people. Michigan with me was the first day we got our 2 cases, and with the disparate, outcomes for people of color in America generally, and reminding us about these deep inequities, from the basic lack of access to health care, to the access to transportation, to lack of protections in the workplace, to the fact that our front line, the people that are our essential workforce, is often disproportionately people of color. These inequities hit people of color and the vulnerable communities the hardest. So that's why we created this task force around racial disparities. It's chaired by my Lieutenant Governor, Garland Gilchrist, who's the first African-American Lieutenant Governor in Michigan history. And they're going to provide recommendations on how to address racial disparities in this moment, but also a plan for going forward. We've been focused on attacking implicit bias and expanding healthcare. But we know that there's a lot more to learn in this moment. And that's why we're going to continue to see this through, not just through the other side of COVID-19, but to inform a policy agenda that really creates equitable outcomes and equitable opportunity for people.
Senate Republicans trying to repeal and replace Obamacare, and that vote coming up short when the maverick made his mark. Senator John McCain, just days removed from his cancer diagnosis, stunning the chamber, from Republican leader Mitch McConnell, prompting an audible gasp in the chamber.
I and many of my colleagues did as we promised and voted to repeal this failed law. We told our constituents we would vote that way, and the moment came. Most of us did.
Oh, fuck
Two
off.
other Republican senators, Maine's Susan Collins and Alaska's Lisa Murkowski, they joined McCain, crossing party lines to vote against the repeal bill.
I was with my ex and his family when they talked about Obamacare and the absurdity of having to pay into a system that says you have to contribute to those that are pregnant. Because this person was beyond the childbearing age. But think of all the benefits you get when your children are pregnant and then give birth. To bring in children into the world. Children that, may I add, have never been spoken about in a future tense, even though special education and child development was discussed all the time. I'm just waiting for any answer, response, or discussion on children that wasn't about the past grievances of a child with special needs, with behavioral issues, and the community commenting, creating this sort of feeling of, I'm a bad mom. The child was a growing bean sprout, and even though he looked like he was 6, 7, 8 years old, he was actually just a toddler. Well, okay, I had to give her counsel on this repeatedly to say that's more about them than to you. And do you look at your child now and think they're still the same person? Maybe that's the problem. They still did. There was a comment that was finally made about children, and this is what it was. Gosh, it's gonna be so weird when I want to go out and I can't anymore. Are you fucking serious? Alright, so really listen to what people say. That is what they believe. And also, the other evidence is what was said at these bachelor and bachelorette parties. Okay, these are triggers. They're not meant to be fully fleshed out right now. I'm gonna do that with the writing process. We're in step 3, which is beyond pre-writing and first draft and the second edit. Now we're gonna get into storytelling, and it's going to be verbatim. I've already decided a long time ago that's how it has to come out, so let's prepare for it. Preparation takes a lot of time, but that's okay because the effort and time put into creating a lesson plan dwarfs the amount of effort I put into just remembering one thing only. I said I was going to do this, and I always follow through. It's true. I can't help it. It's just kind of, how I was motherfucking made.
We've also created something called the Frontlines Futures for Fighters, which is kind of like the GI Bill, is to give an opportunity to people who've been on the front lines if they want to pull some additional skills. We want to make sure that they're grateful we are that they kept stocking the shelves in the grocery store or showing up when we're in trouble, whether it's at the hospital or in an emergency. And we need to do right by the people that have made such sacrifice.
Now that's a great idea.